So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about $3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
Well, for heaven's sakes, I mean, the Martin building had to be built and renovated also along with them. It just happened to come first. So that was a very interesting exchange. Anyway, we're going to bring in James Blair. Mr. Blair is the White House Deputy Chief of Staff. He's also a commissioner at the National Capital Planning Commission. He was with the president yesterday at the Taj Mahal on the Potomac. James Blair, welcome. So I would start with this. You're a senior White House guy, policymaker, but you're also on this National Capital Commission. What did you make of the whole trip yesterday? You saw what you saw. You could see where the cost overruns are. You had an expert guide, that being one Donald J. Trump, who knows a heck of a lot about building buildings and renovating and why basements and parking garages below ground level are not good ideas. What did you make of it, James?
Well, look, as you said, first of all, the president was in his element. I mean, he said it. He was happy to be back on a construction site.
Yes.
Look, the Fed chair was way out of his league. I mean, that's the main thing here. The president was walking around, and I frankly thought the tour left a lot to be desired. There's a lot we didn't see. I may ask to go back. But, you know, as the president commented, the underground structures, the water line, the reverse bathtub, as he pointed out, which is where you have to keep the water out underneath the water line. And he told me last night, he said, you know, the thing is, nature always catches up. That thing will leak in a few years. Look, it's basically a building that has a long way to go. That's obvious. It is way over budget. And, you know, unfortunately, at this point, we just have to get the building done. It looks like the president, you know, said that publicly. It is what it is. So kind of have no choice now. Probably never should have been started. They made a lot of bad decisions along the way, it looks like. But at this point, he just has to finish the job.
At one point, if I got this story right, James, and you know, we were tuning it in as best we could. We also had Senator Ted Cruz on simultaneously. But I think the president said that he renovated the post office and turned it into the hotel, and that was a larger project than what the Fed is doing. And that whole thing only cost $200 million. Not $2.5 billion or $3.1 billion. I thought that was very telling. You know, I was in the room years ago when Mr. Trump first gave his speech about renovating the hotel. I believe it was the Hotel Commodore. He turned it into the Hyatt Regency, and he went through every little bit of piece. He knows this stuff cold. And I was in New York when he renovated the Woolman skating rink, and he did that in less than 6 months for very little money. So I think, was he saying that the stuff he did in Washington was only a couple of $100 million? He didn't have to do a $2.5 billion.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the president is obviously just a better planner and builder and deal maker. I mean, you know, we got a tour from some of the guys working there, the construction manager. He talked to them about the fees. He talked to them about how the building is being protected. He asked why the site is air conditioned while it's under construction, which it was. He had a lot of very specific questions, and he could look all around and see all of the dollars and cents. And really, you know, it's just obvious that no one really cares too much about what it costs. Obviously, you mentioned the 2.5 or 3.1. I just want to point out the president was 100% right about that. What he pulled out of his pocket there was the Fed's own documents that they posted online after they got a series of FOIA requests. What happened here was a few years ago, they started renovating the Fed complex, 3 buildings in total. The Martin building, which is what the Fed chair was talking about, and the Eccles 1951 building, which is what we were touring. And altogether, that is $3.1 billion. And so the Martin building, he wanted to take that out of it. Okay, well, the Martin building was a 25% cost overrun from what it was originally projected. And if you just talk about the building we were in, the Eccles 1951 building, that started at a $1.4 billion estimate. It's up to at least $2.5 billion based on the Fed's own internal records that they're posting online right now that anybody can go and look at. That's like a 78% cost overrun. So I'm not really sure what the Fed chair was trying to do there, sort of splitting hairs. It is $3.1 billion for the total renovation project. It is way over budget. The cost overruns are totally out of control. And no matter how he spends that, that's the truth. The president was 100% correct, and he had him dead to rights.
And James, you know what's even more fun about this story? I say fun in quotes sarcastically, the Taj Mahal on the Potomac. But this is from a central bank that, of course, prints its own money, but they've lost almost $200 million in the last 2 years. So they're losing $100 million a year, James. Their bond portfolio is underwater. Their mismatch of assets and liabilities, it's like this Silicon Valley Bank that went over a couple years ago during the Biden administration. This is a gang that can't shoot straight. They're printing their own money, and they're still losing a fortune, and now they're going off and having all these cost overruns for these buildings. I don't know if any of that came up, but that's sure out there. People know this.
You're absolutely correct. The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, has called for a review of all of the non-monetary policy sort of goings on in the Fed under Jerome Powell. You pointed it out. They're losing over $100 million a year, the first time it's been running an operating deficit for the annualized year over the last 3-year period in its history. It's kind of unbelievable. That's the backdrop against which we have these massive cost overruns, this palatial Powell's Palace, they're calling it, the Taj Mahal on the National Mall. All of those things are absolutely appropriate. That's what's going on here, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And at the same time, which is what the president was talking about yesterday to Chair Powell, interest rates are too high. Average Americans, typical Americans working hard, going to their jobs every day, are trying to buy houses. They can't because the rates are too high. Our central rate is, like 35th or 45th in the world right now, which makes no sense considering the United States government is easily the #1 most reliable institution in the world. I mean, our full faith and credit is better than anyone else's. It just doesn't make any sense. People are hurting. The rate should come down, but we are optimistic that the Fed chair will do the right thing starting next week.
Yes, well, I think you may not get it in July, James, but I think you're going to get it, and maybe a jumbo cut. I thought the president himself was very cordial, frankly, and treated Powell very, very well. And we appreciate your coming on. We know you're a very busy chap. Deputy White House Chief of Staff, Mr. James Blair. Thank you so much.